Man, it's been too long. We back at it with my boy Ani, ISO Ani. For those that really know him, know the deal. About to head to the clear out, but yeah, we're back in this thing, man. What's good, Ani?
Oh man, it's been a minute, but everything been good. Just working at it, watching a lot of basketball, keeping up with a lot of basketball, and just a blessing for it to be a full-time thing. But glad we get to go back here, inside high school hoops and get some clear out.
Yeah, get some clear out. Now you have been doing your show, All His Life thing. How has that been going? Tell us about that real quick before we get into that.
Oh yeah, it's been great with Ronnie Flores, who works for Ball's Life. We have our show we put out like every Tuesdays we record, and it's been great. I mean, our following's been great. Numbers have been really good. It's up from last year, so it's been fun. He kind of goes to Ronnie and Ani, and we're out. You know what I mean? So it's been great. It's been a great experience. Ronnie and Cole has been awesome, and it's always great to do a show with the Ball's Life brand.
No doubt. That's a huge love. How do people find that real quick before we get into our stuff? How do people find it?
YouTube, subscribe to the Ball's Life podcast page on YouTube, on Megaphone, and we're on iTunes. So
there you go.
Listen. I need you to listen.
Tap in. Let's go.
Yeah.
Now, ISO Ani. Now, do we have more episodes coming? How's the ISO Ani journey? You did Case and Wallace. You did. I know you got more up your sleeve. Is it an off-season thing? What do we got going?
Big, like my boy Glenn Smith say, big things coming. I can't announce it yet.
Oh man, I love it. Well, we're going to the clear out. Since you brought up him, we'll go straight into ISO Ani segment. Let me get the producing team in the back. What y'all doing back there? Get this right. All right, we got it right. Let's go straight into Glenn Smith and the new announcement.
Yeah, so Glenn Smith, who runs the Hoop Fest, you don't just say Thanksgiving Hoop Fest, it's the Hoop Fest basketball series, which he does the Thanksgiving Hoop Fest in Dallas. Traditionally, it's in Duncanville. Then he has another location on the second day. Either that's Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, like it was this past season, or it's American Airlines Arena, which it was the previous 2 years. This Salt Lake this year, the Texarkana, which is where he's from, and he was a give back. And then now he announced that he's going to go to Jamaica and do an event with the Hoop Fest basketball series. So that's big time for Glenn. When he did his one in Texarkana, people were kind of wondering what's the whole deal. But if you looked at the games, and unfortunately I wasn't able to go, it was packed. The kids came into the core, asking for autographs, taking pictures. There's not a lot of basketball at that level like that in Texarkana. So, that was a great thing. Salt Lake was a really good event. You had high level games there. And then in Jamaica to bring, I don't know what type of teams come in, but let's just say, I assume you bring a Duncanville and a Montverde in that situation. Just imagine, the people in that country to come in and watch that type of basketball. So big time news from Glenn, and big time news from the Hoop Fest.
We're gonna roll this thing out. We're gonna go ahead and get straight to it. We're gonna let you guys see the video. But yes, as Ani said, we had Glenn on earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about a big announcement that was coming. So this is the big announcement. So we'll go ahead and let you guys see it that haven't seen it. If you have seen it, you get to see it again.
Hey.
One high school basketball showcase in America is back for another year. Last year, we brought you guys Thanksgiving Hoop Fest in Dallas, Texas. The Red River Fest in Texarkana, and the Holiday Fest, Salt Lake City, Utah. Our series is brought through deep level talent by the likes of Trey Young, NBA AllStar, Marcus Smart, De'Aaron Fox, and the list goes on and on. This year, we're super excited to let you guys know we're adding a new style to the Hoop Fest basketball series. I hope you guys are ready, because we're bringing some of the top high school basketball players in America right here to Nassau, Bahamas for the Hoop Fest in Paradise. Four top high school teams in the U.S. will be right here competing against each other. When? December 16 and 17. You can expect sharpshooting, high flying, and straight up gritty basketball at this year's Hoop Fest in Paradise. December 16th and 17th, four of the top high school teams in America will be right here in Nassau, Bahamas. Will you be here?
There it is. There it is. There you have it.
Bahamas.
Yes, the Bahamas. We in paradise.
I said Jamaica. I apologize. Bahamas.
He did say Jamaica. You were just excited. You got.
I was.
You showing love.
I may go. I probably won't, but I may go.
Whoever goes, it'll be a nice place to visit. You know what I mean? He did say this, we want to give Glens Flowers. He deserves them. We love to see more. Let's just be blunt. It's Black History Month. We love to see more Black men
100%.
Great things, and doing things that maybe people thought that couldn't be done or haven't been done. So we want to give Glens Flowers. He talked about this that I thought was really an interesting perspective that maybe people don't know about his Hoop Fest, but part of why you want to do what he did in Texarkana, not only was it home, but those people don't get access to that level of player. And he also wanted to help players start to build their fan base and getting the autographs and connecting with kids, thinking about NIL when they go to college and things of that nature. So he wanted to give them exposure to different markets within the country. So then you go to Utah, and then you have another market who doesn't get to see some of the high-level basketball nationally that happens in Texas and some of the things we get spoiled with.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing it there, then you're doing your different autograph sessions. You do things after the game where those people can connect, and they start following those kids, and they have an experience with them. But also he talked about the young men on the teams being able to go to those places and get different experiences as well to play and see different parts of the world. So obviously international, that's not a part of the grassroots circuit. That's normally not a part of the high school circuit. So if you're on one of those four teams, you'll get an international experience that helps give exposure to some of these young men on a whole different level. So I just want to shout out to Glenn and what he's doing and Hoop Fest basketball, and keep going, man. We salute you.
100%. No, big time stuff, Glenn.
Yeah, we're gonna give it a shout out there. So now we'll move to let's go NIBC. Right. We got to talk a little bit about the hoops that's going on there. We'll give the ISO clear out for Ani just to talk about. Obviously, Sunrise won the whole thing against IMC. High level, first time league that was put together this year. What did you think about it? What were some of the highlights from it?
Yeah, I thought the league was fantastic with La Lumiere, Sunrise, IMG, Montverde, Oak Hill, Wasatch, early Legacy School. I think I'm missing one more, but it was a great league. You saw the teams like Sunrise play Montverde 2-3 times and play each other multiple times, and it was televised on ESPN, which was great for the public to see. The national title game was great between Sunrise and IMG. It was a gritty one. It was great for me just to really see how they compete on defensive end. That's the third time they got to see each other play. They went against each other, so they know each other, just throughout. So it was really just good to see how the guys were still trying to get their buckets, knowing that, they've been heavily game playing. This is the third game. La Lumiere had a really big time win against IMG where Keontae George had 40 points for IMG, and he was fantastic making shots, and it was all translatable. Just like we know Keontae, Eden Holloway for La Lumiere has been great. Oak Hill, you had Mintz, who was fantastic this season. Chris Livingston. I can just go on and on. Montverde, obviously, Derek Whitehead has just emerged himself as a potential number one player in that class. Malik Renew, Dylan Mitchell, who's going to Texas. The NIBC also allowed, what Glenn's go when he does, like Texarkana, and he goes to Utah and he's doing Bahamas. It exposes those kids to different environments, but also just the exposure part as well for those kids, those people to see those kids. I thought that's what the NIBC did. It did a great job just with the exposure part for these kids and the guys that really did stand out. I thought there was a lot of value, but I thought the league was fun every session. I got to watch majority of the games, and I'm looking forward to what it looks like next year. I know there's some teams that potentially will be added on to that. So I think it's something that we needed here.
Yeah, just showing some of the highlights here. I mean, I think similar to what you said, what's needed. The cool thing is for the culture, what's been good is to have all these high levels. No different than EYBL, right? No different than the Adidas circuit or Under Armour. Different people are coming up with innovative ideas to put some of the best against the best, which helps the college game later on because those guys have played against each other now during the season. It helps the obviously the college coaches evaluate some of these young men against other people like yourself. You get to evaluate and say he did this on this stage, and that means something different than just playing on a regular high school stage. Yeah, you just love to see and get a chance for those guys to compete to play for a significant championship against some of the best. So shout out to Sunrise, Grady Dick, who I'm sure we're going to talk about later. A little bit of he got robbed, I think, on his Naismith thing. We're going to get to that. We got some tea. We might have to call up Luke and get Luke on the show and talk about it. But Grady Dick was not one of the gentlemen selected for the 5 for the Naismith Player of the Year award. We'll talk about that next. But Sunrise has done a terrific job. Let's just talk about Sunrise real quick, who is the national champion of the NIBC. And they also went head-to-head with an undefeated team in Link Year and was able to get that win. So let's just talk about Grady Dick. Let's talk about the team. Let's talk about he's going to Kansas, obviously. Let's talk about the Sunrise Hoops. They've been able to – Sunrise Christian, they've been able to get it done to be able to be champions.
Yeah, Sunrise been great this year. Grady Dick, who's going to Kansas, 6'6", 6'7", with improved guard skills, shoots the piss out the basketball, can score it off the dribble, off the catch, becoming a better finisher. Defensively, Sunrise been one of the best defensive teams, arguably the best defensive team in the country. And, Grady Dick has really held his own on the defensive end. He really works at the end and can move. Man, Grady's just been fantastic. He's been a leader. He's took his game to another level, and he's going to have a great career at Kansas. And just Sunrise, when you look at, Middleton, Layden Blocker, Mitchell, Grady Dick. I mean, there's so many kids that there's so many players that bring value and are consistent. One thing about high school players, and Burton, you're a college coach, college players, the difference between the great, the good, the not so good are the ones that are consistently good, right? And I think Sunrise, they're players that they need to be good consistently or good, and that's what makes them a great team. And that Link Year game was a really good game. I actually, in the Balls Live show with Ronnie, I projected Link Year to win. I think that's just me, just making wild projections. And look, Link Year is a great team. All right. But I do know Sunrise, they've been here before. Right. And so it was a good game. It was a back and forth. I did get
on that comment, I'm going to jump in real quick. So Coach Rodney Perry, Coach Jake White, this is their first year with Link Academy because Link Year, the post-grad has been there.
Right.
But the academy, as far as the high school, this is the first season. So for them to do what they have done, and they came on last week when you were, you were doing your thing, you were doing big things, clearing out. Exactly, you had the ISO over there, so we had everybody together over here. But that being said, for them to do what they've done in year one, where they've basically been undefeated the entire year, minus that one game, which was just last week. So you're all the way into February, hadn't lost a game. Obviously, multiple high-level signees. We got to tip our hat to them and give them this story. But like you said, Sunrise has been there. So in them having been there, they had a little bit more experience, maybe going in that head-to-head matchup. And to their credit too, they had just won the national championship, played again in the NIBC. So that experience, playing against high-level competition night in, night out, and then you go play someone who maybe hasn't played that competition night in, night out, they just were already ready for it.
Yeah. No, that's kind of what it was. I mean, Link Year had a chance. Sunrise jumped out in that second half and then kind of grew a comfortable lead, and it kind of kept with that through and through. But I think at the end of the first half, Link was down by 3. The front line was doing good. Terrence Reed, who's going to Michigan, has really improved. 6'10", big, strong body, and has a good touch around the rim and even outside to that mid-range game. Jordan Walsh was solid. They just Trey Green was fantastic. 2023 guard, can really score the basketball. He's a kid that when he gets going, he's good for 30. And he's good for 30 off limited shots. And it was a good game. Thought the guard play, like the depth of the guard play that Sunrise had, kind of took over, and then Mitchell just was fantastic. Mark Mitchell was just really fantastic, down the stretch as well. So Sunrise been there. They knew how to kind of value possessions that needed to be valued, even after it got sloppy. And then when they took that lead, they just knew how to hold on to that lead. But both teams for sure, both teams are going to go be in the GEICO. Will be in the GEICO. So there's another chance that they get to see each other again. But one of the best games I got to see this year.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, what is the GEICO? Just so they know. Obviously, we've been talking NIBC. We've been talking different matchups. We're about to talk Texas high school playoffs. What is the GEICO for those that don't know?
Yeah, so the GEICO National Championship been going on since 2009, I believe. And it's just a national tournament. It consists of 8 teams. Generally, it's, like the prep teams like IMG, Montverde, Oak Hill. You'll have Link here. You get a few of the public schools in there, but it's generally like that's what the GEICO is. But Paragon did announce that they're doing a state championship the week after in Florida, which is going to consist of 4 teams that are state champions. So the requirement is for you to have to be a state champion. Texas isn't on there this year as a state. It's like Nevada, DC, a couple other multiple states, but it's going to be something that they want to potentially grow to 8 this year too. So 8 next year. So yeah, that's GEICO, and then they have something called the state, basically like the state national title.
Right. Let's talk about these Naismith Awards.
All right.
We'll pull these up. We got the coaches awards. We also have the Player of the Year award. We kind of alluded to a little bit. We'll go coaches first. The players got a little controversy in it. The coaches do not. But we'll go first.
We'll go down the list. Luke Barnwell, Sunrise, obviously number 1 team in the country right now. Won the NIBC, beat Linkier Prep, probably number 1 seed in GEICO. Win to see why they wouldn't be. So Luke, and he won it last year, correct? I think that's what you said.
I believe so.
So I mean, Luke definitely has a major big time resume to win it this year. Kevin Lawson at Richardson, Richardson is a top 10 to 15 team in the country this year. Public school have been AZ Compass, has been Duncanville, the only team that has been Duncanville this year.
Now were both those teams number 1 when they beat them? I believe Duncanville.
Yes, both those teams were.
AZ Compass was as well.
AZ was and Duncanville was.
So at the time, they beat 2 number 1s, and I think the part I even messaged or tweeted about this earlier today, we're talking about a public high school now. We're not talking about a prep or a factory that's built to have players. Obviously, they've had some good players there before, and they have elite players there now. They have one of the best backcourts in the country. So, yeah, we can talk about that. But I think the fact that public high school beat 2 number 1s, was number 1 at one point themselves, a lot to be said about the potential state champion in the state of Texas, which means a lot. We also have David Peavy, who was in a similar situation. So, anyway, I took the mic. Let me give it back.
No, you good. That was good intel. Good intel, good info. But sure, David Peavy, Duncanville head coach, have won 3 state championships, looking for their 4th one this year. They've only lost 1 game, which we said was the Richardson, has beat Montverde, being Corona.
was number 1 at the time too, weren't they?
Yes, they were. Yeah. Corona Centennial, who's a top 10 team in the country. I think that's the only one. That's the only team they've lost to too. So, David, they've been fantastic this year. They're no doubt the number 1 team in the state of Texas. And Dave for sure he has a resume that this year that shows that he could win it. Rodney Perry, we just talked about.
Real quick on David, I know we talked about it, Coach Peavy, that he's done it 3 times, but he's only been the head coach. This is his 4th year.
Right.
Every year he's been a head coach, he's won a state championship. So just want to sprinkle that in there. We got to make sure we give people the awards. Rodney Perry, who was on last week, without Ani. We had too many people on the screen. You know what I mean? We couldn't ISO it, so Ani didn't want to do it.
I would have ISO'd it. I would tell them you need to stay clear.
We already know the deal, but Coach Perry, former college coach, assistant coach of the college ranks, was kind of asked to start this program he mentioned and talked about, and then was not only able to start it, but so many times as an assistant, you don't get to show maybe the full gamut of what you're able to do. And I just think he deserves an enormous amount of credit because it's year 1. Yeah. Everyone has their resume, right? That's these outstanding things they've done. But because it's year 1, they were undefeated most of the year. Multiple high-level players are going to play at the next level, and just done it in such a first-class manner. I think he just deserves to be in this conversation, and I can see how they would justify him to win it, although he has maybe lost his coach Barnwell at Sunrise. That may make it a little bit hard for the voters in the end, but he definitely deserves to be a part of this conversation and well-received in how he's done things as far as, sometimes they think assistant coach. I've been an assistant coach at the college level. They think you can't do some of the other things. And it's just cool to see him doing it at such a high level with the players that they've been able to bring in. And then not only that, but just the product. I think sometimes people think that we can't coach. Let's just call it what it is, that we can just recruit. And it's amazing to see him do what he's done in year 1. So anyway.
There you go. That's Rodney Perry.
There we go. We got that one because we'll go to the next one.
Grant Rice.
Undefeated.
Bishop Gorman, undefeated public school team. They're actually playing. They have a playoff game tonight. Grant came onto the show, our AllStar show last week. And, Bishop Gorman's been great. If they win a state title, he has a chance to potentially get into GEICO this year. And has a chance to, be in that state the state national tournament with the 4 teams. So Grant Rice they've had a hell of a season. Bishop Gorman, they've always traditionally been a really, really good basketball program, but they have one of the best years in quite some time. They're undefeated, and they end up winning a state championship. He's going to potentially have options for that for what that national tournament will look like.
No doubt, and we want them to have that opportunity. And again, anytime you go undefeated, and if they win a state championship in their state, then they will be undefeated for the entire year. So that's an incredible thing in itself. Then to be able to compete and play in the GEICO, like you said, I think that says a lot. Let's get to the players. We got a little bit of drama, a little bit of controversy. We kind of mentioned that Grady Dick is not in this. And the reason why I say that, I don't know as much about this young man as Ani does, but if you are the best player on essentially the best team, how can you not be in the conversation? So I don't know exactly what the criteria was. Naismith, if I'm upsetting someone, you probably won't see this and you probably don't care what I have to say. But, how do you not have him in there? You got to have – if it's the best player on the best team, by most measures, if you're the best player in the NBA and you're on the best team, you're probably going to get some nod for at least the MVP voting.
Right.
Most of the time, the best player on a college team, you're normally going to be an All-American and a player of the year in the league. So a little disappointing, again, that he was not in this conversation. And it's not like he doesn't have the pedigree with Kansas that he signed to get him in. So don't know it, but I had to at least bring that up because that young man deserves to be in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And McDonald's All-American as well. To add to that, Grady Dick's been fantastic this year. Like I talked about earlier, he should be on this list. But, you still got 5 kids that are really talented, that are very deserving as well. We'll start with Kyle Flipikowski, 6'10", 6'11", forward, really shoots the ball very well, has advanced perimeter skills for a kid his size, a very interesting prospect, arguably a number 1 player in that class. Yeah. Going to Duke. Definitely, has had a really, really good season. Keontae, who we talked about, had a 40-point game against La Lemire. IMG's a top 3 team in the country. He's been great. He's been one of the leading scorers. And you talk about a team that has Jerace Walker, has Jaden Bradley, has Howard, not Jed Howard, Juwan Howard's son. And you got multiple perimeter threats. And Keontae has still been one of the top scorers for that group and been able to still be him, with all those guys that, potentially really could say play the same position. Jerace Walker obviously is like a forward, but like more of a wing forward type. But, he has really good guard skills as well. Derek Lively, another
kid. Shout out to Keontae, too. Of course, he's going to Baylor to be a Bear next year. But he's made moves in his high school career since he left Louisville that have all benefited him. The high school obviously was a good move for him for that year, but this move, I don't know if everybody saw it coming, but to go to Florida to do the IMG thing has really worked out well for him. These things we see a lot of times, high-level players, they're going to a school, and the next thing you know, they're switching schools. So I do want to acknowledge that for Keontae, being that he's a Texas guy and was able to go have success and stick and have elite success.
Well, I want to add to that. I think Keontae has made it work. I think he's been adamant about making it work. I think it's always twofold. Sometimes it's not the right fit, but I think, it could have easily not have worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think Keontae has made sure that it does work. And so, again, like kudos to him for that. Derek Lively, big time talent, 7'1", about good length. He's the prototypical big man that you want in the NBA, right? Athletic, can shoot, protects the rim, agile. They played a game. I want to say it was Montverde they played. And he didn't score much, but probably had like 6 blocks, had 12 rebounds. He really impacted the game interior. And you see where the shooting is going to become. He's going to improve a lot more, arguably the number 1 player in the country. And to me, the best rim protector in the class, one best rebounder, and a kid his size, that agility with shooting. Obviously I and what I saw with him against Montverde really just tells it all. Going to Duke as well. Nick Smith Jr., Arkansas, signee. Fantastic. ESPN actually has him as the number 1 player out of that 2022 recruiting class to be like as far as NBA prospects go. 6'5", combo, really scores basketball, hang dribble, step backs, crafty with it, tough. He's a competitor. Like, one thing about Nick, if you get to know him and his dad as well, like extreme competitor. Like, they always want to smoke. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to question that. And, seeing him against Kimball at the Thanksgiving Hoop Fest, and he just came back from an injury. He's been out for like a month and or 2. And then he came in, hit the game winner. They were down by 17 early on, and he just took it upon himself to win. Nick Smith's one of my favorite players. I get to watch in that class. Got to follow him since he's in 7th grade. And I agree with the ESPN projections with, especially as far as draftable prospects go. Really like what Nick brings to the table. In the high school season, they've been great. They're a top 15 team in the country. Yep. Derek Whitehead going to Duke. Another kid.
We got 3 Duke Blue Devils. I guess
John
Shire is trying to make a statement that it's not gonna the reign is not going to end when Coach K retiring.
For sure. And Derek, tough shot maker, athletic, gets after it on both ends, has led Montverde to another really successful year. Big wins, even though they didn't get to play in the NIBC championship, they have won games against IMG. They won, I believe they won the first game against Sunrise. Competitor, tough shot maker, athletic. He's going to be great at Duke. Another one of those kids you're going to see in the lottery when you see those projections for the 2023 NBA draft.
Yeah, great job on covering that. Ani, we're going to talk some playoffs, man. Before we get out of here with the clear out. So we'll go playoffs, and then we'll also talk about some potential matchups down the road. So we'll just go playoffs next. You're going to a game tonight. Obviously, Texas high school playoffs is a fun time. talk a little bit about anything you want to cover on that.
Yeah, so actually I'm gonna go to Corsicana, Old East Texas, and watch DeSoto and Waco Midway, which that's the middle between both those teams, and it's gonna be a good game. DeSoto, they're really tough. Coach Bacon's done a great job with that group in the second year. They almost beat Duncanville at their DeSoto, so they really get after it. They guard you full court. It's going to be tough. Waco Midway has size, improved guard play. Waco Midway was a team that was, not going to lie, was just horrible last year. They were not a good team. And now, to be in a situation where they can go a couple rounds deep, they can surprise some people. They got the kid that's going to Wyoming and Caden Powell. And, they got other pieces around them that can make it work. Playoffs is going to be interesting. 6A, 5A, I mean, there's a lot. Like I had to write it down for you, Burton. The second round.
That's when we know we get in business. That's when Ani starts writing stuff down, we in business.
Oh, in business. But I just put it in my head. It's just what it is. What it is. You got potential second round matchups in 6A, like Region 1, South Grand Prairie, and McKinney. McKinney was in a tough battle versus Denton Geyer yesterday. That was for who gets number 1 in that district, and Denton Geyer won by 10. McKinney with Jacoby Walters. You got Jacoby Campbell, 2023 guard. You got the kid that's going to SMU, Alexander Meckway. And South Grand Prairie, even though they don't have Caden Bennett, they have a lot of pieces that just do their job at a high level. So that'd be a good game. You got Richardson and Allen. Potentially Lake Highlands and Plano. Plano's undefeated this season. One district. We talk about undefeated teams like Bishop Garden. Plano is undefeated. I think they're like 33-0. Very, very. It's going to be very interesting. Lake Highlands, who has Trey Johnson, who has gone for 30 in both games against Richardson. That's good. That'll be a hell of a game. That'll be packed. It'll probably be packed 5 minutes when tickets get put up.
Can you make a projection in that one? Can you go against the undefeated team or against the number 1 player in his class? That's a tough one. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to make a projection just because I like to do it. I'm going to go Lake Highlands with the upset.
Is it an upset?
Yeah, I mean, team's 33-0.
I mean, but are they ranked higher than him?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, upset. Go with the upset. I generally go for the upset, just like, just because I can be like, I told you so.
Well, it's also a safe route for you to be consistent and be like, oh, Ani's the upset guy. He's just
I'm the upset guy. Yeah, I'm the upset guy.
Well, I think you've not picked some upsets before, but who's keeping track?
Yeah. And then
I graduated from Plano East, so I got to represent Plano. But I also, the Lake Highlands head coach, Joe Duffield, shout out to Joey D, he graduated from Plano East. So it's a little bit of a split. I could go either way. I'm going to go opposite of Ani just because you're Ani. Yes. I'm going to go with Lake Highlands.
That's fair enough. There we go. In 5A, that's going to be interesting. You got Kimball versus Hillcrest, Dallas Hillcrest, and Dallas Hillcrest is really, really good. You got Mo Williams' son, Mike Williams there. You got the Nansa brothers that are really talented. They're forwards with size and length and athleticism. Dallas Hillcrest has been really good. And Kimball, who's projected out of the Dallas area to make it to the Final Four and to the state championship game, with a potential matchup again against Beaumont United. They're going to have it's going to be a tough road for Kimball, but I think Kimball, with Arterio Morris, with Chauncey Gibson, the Cannon Wickware, T. John Brown, you got a lot of pieces there. But 5A is going to be a battle. You got Lucas Lovejoy, who I really like. They got a kid that I think is kind of under the radar in Carson Templin, who's like a 6'7", kind of do-it-all forward. And coach just does a hell of a job just, game planning, playing to his team's strengths and taking away the other team's strengths. And I think 5A is going to be is in Lancaster. They added Dink Pate. They got Tony Batiste's nephew, and he's about 6'7". He's a 2024. So Lancaster got some pieces. Kimball, obviously, they're projected to win out of that Dallas area and to see Beaumont United again. But I think it's going to be a really tough road. I think there's a lot of really good teams in 5A. Frisco Memorial. It's not going to be easy, but I think the 5A is wide open.
Yeah, definitely wide open. A lot of individual players that stand out in those regards that you just talked about. And then a lot of teams that are playing really well. So it'll be interesting to see if some of the elite 5, 4-star high major prospects can lead their teams in the playoffs, or if some of these teams that maybe don't have that outlier elite national talent can band together and beat some of those teams. So I think that's the cool part about playoffs in general, but this year's playoffs has a lot of those teams and matchups, and then you have underclassmen who are highly rated that are playing against some of these upperclassmen. It kind of reminds you of that the NCAA tournament in some ways.
Yeah,
big time talent, storied programs, and then you have these individual outlier talent on certain teams. Or so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I can't wait. I think that's all we got for that part of the show. The clear out's over. So we can start playing some team ball.
Right. Okay.
Hang out on the screen a little bit with the homie. Let's give a few player shout outs. Anything you want. We kind of covered that with the Naismith, but we'll give some quick player shout outs. Maybe do some fun stuff with some college stuff, and then do something for the culture, and then we'll shut it down.
Yeah. 2 kids, forwards in 2023 class. JoJo Tugler out of Cy Falls. Fantastic, really has emerged himself as a potential high major prospect, about 6'7", 6'8", long, athletic, plays hard, growing offensive game. JoJo Tugler is a kid that coaches need to really watch during this spring and summer. And the other one, Jaden Toppin, I got to watch him. He's 2023 out of Faye family. Pogo stick athlete, plays hard, lefty that with a great touch around the rim, soft hands, moves well. I think that kid's going to get so much better. I think he's going to get so much better. To me, he's like a top 3 best rim protectors in that class in Texas. So JoJo Tugler, Jaden Toppin, those are my player shout outs for this week.
I like those. I'm going to bring up one that's on your team, and since he's on your team, you don't have to bring him up, but you can talk about him. But you have one of the better unsigned seniors out there, and I'll shout out 2 other unsigned seniors. I've already talked about Kobe Henderson. I got to give him his love again. Their season is over now. He's competed and played well. Coach Henderson's son from ESD. Again, I'm biased. I'm okay saying that. I grew up. When he was this big, I was almost took the job to work at ESD with Coach Henderson. Coach Henderson, like family. So to see him grow up and end up being a real player, I think he's somebody to keep an eye on, and potentially could be one of those guys that reclasses. That's kind of a thing now with college players getting an extra year. A lot of high school players are figuring out how to get an extra year. So in that same shout-out breath, I will say shout-out to the young fella, Brody Robinson, who just reclassed and is going to the Phelps School, getting away from Texas, going to do something different, but had a tremendous year. He's a guy that kind of bursted on the scene last year with R09, kind of this small, quick guard that's making these threes. It's like, who is this little guy? Where'd he come from? And then he's just made a regular name of himself, kind of getting on a bigger scale with Houston Christian, now going to the Phelps School. So shout out to those 2 seniors. But you have a senior, CJ, I believe his name is. You can talk about him, CJ Ford.
Luster.
CJ Ford, Luster. I'm thinking of Ford from Duncanville.
Duncanville.
A lot of good players. But yeah, talk about CJ Luster and his ability as one of the unsigned seniors.
Yeah, CJ Luster has been fantastic for my Taka team this year, leading us in scoring. Him and Robert Jennings, who's going to Texas Tech. CJ, really shoots the basketball, scores it. I mean, when you talk about shooting, thing in your head is like catch and shoot, right? A lot off the bounce, can do a lot off the bounce, step backs, shoot from deep past NBA range, and, shoots it with consistency. I mean, shooting 52% from 3 this year. You're not getting that, especially against the level of comp that he's played. It translates. Borderline 6'3", good length, good athlete, will play, has a 1-2 to play defense. Him being unsigned senior is weird, right? I could say that about a couple other guys like Trey Clayton, Donovan O'Day, who I know is on a visit to UIW, but there's a decent amount of unsigned seniors that translatable talent, translatable game that's just not available. CJ is one of them. I think CJ is a no-brainer Division I guy. Obviously, he'll get that. He will get that, but a little strange, especially when you got schools that struggling scoring the basketball, looking for seniors to sign because obviously they want to have a mix of unsigned seniors and transfer guys. I mean, I think, arguably, I'm biased. I think he's the best unsigned senior available, especially with the shot making. But in saying that, I'm not taking that away from all the other guys that are available that are really, really good that don't have anything.
Right. Right. Well said. We'll talk recruiting a little bit next time. We'll get into that because I think that's a topic that people want to hear a little bit about, and people are trying to figure out what does that look like, this offseason, after the season. But before we get to the close of the show, let's talk about some Texas college shout outs. Let's get some shout outs. The state of Texas has great high school players, great high school basketball. We usually give a segment where we shout out some players in college. We're going to shout out some teams this time. So Texas college basketball shout outs. What we got?
UNT, who is 12-1 in the conference right now, top of the South Division, the Conference USA. Grant's doing a great job this year with them. Ross Hodge, it's just it's just rolling. I mean, someone that's probably will be in contention for some of these high major jobs that are going to be available.
Yep. And they are making a move to the AAC.
Mm-hmm.
They have won now 11 games in a row. So they actually started out, I believe, 1-1 in conference. I could be wrong. They might have been.
That's correct.
So they've won 11 games in a row now. The number one scoring defense in the country. Jareem Dowling and Matt Brower, also assistant coaches.
Yeah.
Andre Shaw's holding it down as the director of ops. We're biased towards those guys because they're homies, and I've worked for Ross and Grant, but they're just getting it done. So how do you argue with it? How do you not show the love to it? I also shout out Texas Tech. I just think they deserve to get the love, man. They're now a top 10 level program. They've beaten Baylor twice, which I think is significant, right, wrong, or different. I think they're becoming celebrated as one of the best home court advantages in the country. And they look like a team. I said this actually just not too long ago after I saw them play on television. I believe it might have been against Texas. They have everything that you need to make it to a Final Four run. So
right.
Not saying that they will, but they have the defense is elite. They have multiple guys they can score. I'm biased towards Bryson Williams. I got a chance to coach him twice at Fresno and UTEP. The dude's shooting over 50% from the field, still at that level, averaging 12 or 13 a game. So, this Texas Tech team is dangerous. I think they deserve some shout-outs, so I'll pass it back to Ani.
Yeah, definitely want to give shout out to SMU. That's big time win against U of H. Yep. At SMU at Moody Coliseum, we're down by double-digit points in the second half and been able to come back. And U of H, I mean, even though they took some back-to-back losses even prior to them, they were fantastic. They don't have Tremont Mark, they don't have Marcus Sasser, and they don't make excuses.
They lose the Player of the Year in Quentin Grimes.
Right. Dejan Giroux graduated, gone. They are just they're getting the most out of their guys. Jamal Shedd has stepped up. Josh Carlton stepped up. Kyler Edwards. For sure. I think SMU big time win. I know Coach Jankovic, this was like a year where people were wondering if he was going to come back after this year or not, if they had a good season or whatever. And they responded. Kendrick Davis has been great. Just the overall cast has been very, very good. And I think they're going to be a team that's, they're going to be tough to beat.
Kendrick Davis might be the best point guard in the country playing college basketball the way he's played. Coach Jankovic does a terrific job. We know that. I know people always have different expectations, but he found a way to get it done. And that was definitely a big win, significant quad 1 level win for them to have the tournament hopes kind of still open.
Yeah.
But like you said, Houston deserves major, and Kelvin Sampson's up for Naismith College Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
So got to mention that, and just done an outstanding job. Their staffs just continue to figure out how to develop the players that they have and do more with less. They're playing in a different way this time too. They're kind of playing through the post. Fabian White's playing amazing. They're kind of beating you up inside that way. So shout out to Houston. I got to give a women's basketball shout out.
Okay.
bias is bias, but also facts are facts. So I'm biased with facts, I'll say.
There.
Biased with facts on this one is Texas A&M Commerce women's basketball. They are number 2 in the country currently. They just had the number 1 team lose to someone else. So if all goes according to plan,
they'll be the 1 team.
And they win Saturday, and the voters do exactly what they should do when you're number 2 and the team ahead of you loses, you move up. So they have the likelihood to be number 1 in the country for the first time. They've been number 2 for the first time in program history. Now they have a chance to be number 1. My younger brother, Jason Burton, is the head coach. So, yeah, we're going to keep screaming that because that needs to be celebrated. Bias or not, I'm speaking.
Yeah. Bias with facts.
Bias with facts. That's my thing. I'll pass one more to you, and then I'll go another one. I'm going to go one more first. I'm trying to think of another team that we should shout out. I did my non-D1.
TCU's actually having a pretty good year.
TCU's having a good year. I'm going to let you talk about that because you're close. You see them. But they are in tournament conversation. They have had a very good year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you talk about that. I'll think about
it. They had a tough loss against Iowa State. Had a quad 1 win against LSU. They've been good. They've beaten Iowa State at Iowa State. I think they've had a bounce back year. Mike Miles has been great. Micah Peavy's been a very good, kind of defensive specialist guy. Banner has been great for them too. Just as a wing that really shoots it. Eddie Lampkin, he's been the guy that getting the endorsement deals. Big fella, really stepping up as a redshirt freshman. Was the best player for them against Iowa State at home. And, Big Eddie's just really made some improvements. We got to follow him since he was in middle school from Houston. And then Damian Ball, who they got from Memphis, has been very, very solid, has been the leading scorer sometimes, especially when teams heavily game playing against Mike Miles. So, I want to give a shout out to TCU that are putting themselves in contention to make it to the tournament this year.
Yeah, I want to jump to to just a couple quick ones. UTEP, under first-year head coach Joe Golding, got a huge win against La Tech last night, and they won, I believe, 6 in a row, lost 1. I think they've won maybe 7 of their last 9. They played really great ball, one of the better defense in the country, so quick shout-out to them. Who else has played well? I can shout out real quick. There's a couple of teams in the WAC. The WAC has some new teams in Texas. Sam Houston State's currently in 3rd. They've played some good basketball, second semester especially. They played some good ball. Abilene Christian had won 5 in a row, just lost their last one in overtime to Sam Houston, so won 5 out of their last 6. So got to give a shout out to them. Stephen F. Austin's won 5 in a row as well. So I think Texas Southern has won maybe 6 of their last 7 or 5 of their last 6. They had a hot streak going. A lot of good basketball going on in the state of Texas. Forgive anyone that we're leaving out in this process, but just wanted to give some quick love to some of the schools because there's some great basketball being played. And I'll say one more, Division II, Lubbock Christian University on the men's side at one point in time was number 1 in the country. I think they have lost since then, but to be number 1 at any point in the year, big deal. And then we end with our For the Culture segment. We know we like to do it for the culture, like to figure out what's going on out there in the streets. I know you're going to talk about NBA All-Star, but we can talk about the trade first. The trade for the culture is the Ben Simmons trade for James Harden. It obviously had some other pieces in it. Yeah, I think both teams won, my personal opinion. I know there's some controversy about who won more or why would they trade it to a team they have to play against. I think it's great for entertainment, right? NBA is entertainment. We're all entertained by this trade. I do think Ben Simmons, I hate that it had to go the way it had to go.
Right.
I know some people don't like the fact, oh, he's a millionaire, he should play. He's a human, though. Like, I look at it the other side. Like, if any of us were in an unfit work environment at some point that was to the extreme that he felt like it was, we would want to take a stand too. So I think it's a fine line because as fans, you want to just see them just go play. But at the same time, like, it worked out for him. He stood his ground. It's worked out for him. I think this about Brooklyn, and I'll say my quick thoughts on Philadelphia. Brooklyn, anybody knows basketball know Ben Simmons with floor spacing and scoring he has LeBron James level talent and ability minus his ability to score the same way LeBron does.
Right.
But as far as a huge size and playmaking and defense and rebounding and creating for shooters, he doesn't need to get his points from you drawing plays for him. And he's so good in transition, and he's so good guarding multiple people on the other end. And they did pick up Curry, which was a huge addition for the shooting. You have the best scorer in the world, obviously could be the best player in the world in some people's mind, in Kevin Durant. Kyrie's playing road games. Who knows how that's going to evolve? But I love the way that this team has been put together now. You actually still have a 3 all-star roster, which puts you in a position to have a big 3 to win it all. And then James Harden, whether he's in shape, out of shape, hamstring, the dude is one of the most high IQ players and gifted playmakers the game has seen, period. So I think him playing with Joel and not having to be the first option is probably a good thing. And I think, fresh start, Doc Rivers. I don't know. I think it's a great trade on both sides. It finally gives them a complementary piece that makes sense with Joel.
Right. No, I think both teams potentially can win from it. Obviously, New Jersey just with the injury bug with KD, Kyrie.
They would say Brooklyn. I got it correct. They would
Brooklyn. My bad. I said New Jersey. I'm going old school with it. But Brooklyn. I mean, I think they can really benefit off Ben Simmons, like you say. If you have scoring around him, he can definitely make it work. They just need to get everybody into play. I mean, that's just that's the main thing. But I think on paper, the trade really does make sense. James Harden with Philly, even though people feel like Philly may gave too much, but they're in a situation where they can win a title this year, in this year and next. So I mean, you want to go all in for it, just like kind of how the LA Rams did. They don't have a first round draft pick for 6-7 years. I mean, you just go for it when you know your championship window. You go all in, and then you can deal with the stuff later. But I think they can work, especially Harden and Embiid pick and roll. And I think, Harden being in a situation like that with talent around him that can win a title, I think he's going to be good. Embiid's obviously going to be fine. He's playing like a damn MVP right now. So, I mean, it could work for both teams. Health, and just, clicking at the right time is going to be big, but for sure.
Yeah, and I think, Daryl Morey stood his ground. He wanted to get an all-star level player back, and he did. I just look at it, too, like the health part, you said, that's a huge part of this thing. Health's got to work out. Otherwise, but on paper, it was as good of a trade as both teams could have made. Now, the one part for Philly that I do agree with from the other side is they gave up some elite shooting, but they didn't want to give up some of the other pieces. So in order to get James, they had to – bank that James was going to come back and be the shooter he's been, and James is going to be your primary scorer. They figure with the emergence of Tyrese Maxey that they have enough shooting and some of the other guys. So we'll end with the All-Star talk and close out.
So you got NBA All-Star Weekend. I believe it's in Charlotte this year. Got the NBA dunk contest. So I feel like Jalen Green will win the 3-point, the NBA All-Star. They got the teams. And then Rising Star Challenge is something I'm really interested in seeing because you got 4 players from the G League Ignite. Marjon Beauchamp, Scoot Henderson, I think Jaden Hardy, and then I believe Dyson. Dyson Daniels is going to be there. So very interesting to see how those players are in that competition. Scoot Henderson, who's projected to be a top 3 draft pick in the 2023, and then you got Dyson Daniels, who's potentially a late lottery to first round. Jaden Hardy, who has a wide range, and Marjon Beauchamp, who could potentially scoot into the lottery as well. So, great games. I'm really excited about the Rising Stars because that's always where you see the next superstar. And then especially adding like the G League Ignite guys, it makes it more interesting, especially for someone in my field. And then just NBA All-Star is always fun. It's always entertaining.
Entertainment is high. Dunk contest. We got a little special guest with us.
What up?
The birthday girl's coming next week. Hey. Completely in the building. Woo! All-Star game will be fun. I agree, Jalen Green. 3-point contest, I don't know who's in it.
I really don't either.
I don't know who it is. Will win. A shooter will win. Yeah, great show today. Appreciate you guys joining us. It'll be a lot of fun to see how things unfold, and we will be back next week. We've kind of been doing some, different things in the world, so we haven't been.
But we back. We back with it. We back with it.
Back with it. We'll be back next week, and yeah, enjoy your weekend and be safe. Say bye.
Peace.